All right, guys, we're going to go over the settings and building out an advanced campaign and going over how to set this all up. The first thing that we got to do is make sure we grab a secondary phone number in the account to tie it to. Your advanced campaigns will lock your phone number in for that campaign specifically. And if you don't understand why, watch the video at the top of this. It explains that a little bit more, so I don't have to go over it again. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to pick a random phone number real quick and attach it to the account so I can set this up. You will have to, and one thing I do is I always title my phone number so I know what they're for. One thing you will have to do is you will have to set up your phone settings. You have to set up like what's the phone dialing option? Is it forwarding a line? Where's your text going? You will have to set that up within your advanced campaigns. This is an all-in-one big advanced campaign. So we're going to do a test setup here. Title your advanced campaign, pick your time zones. The groups are what triggers this campaign, right? So these are where you would say, hey, we're going to be running a farmer's market farmers market event, right? This is going to be the group that triggers this campaign. You can have multiple groups inside a campaign, so you can have multiple different drips and multiple things. But if you want to create a drip in the advanced campaign, you've got to make sure you have the group here. I'll show you how to edit that after it's built. Next thing you're going to need to do is pick your phone number. Then you're going to need to pick your call recording options. What's your throttle rate? You can always change this later on too. Okay. Then you're going to pick your time constraints. I always just block out weekends and holidays, but if this is a farmer market, I probably need to keep open at least Saturday, but I'll block off Sundays because I don't want the people that attended the event to get an option on Sunday. If you do, just, come in here and uncheck it. If you click something and you can't unclick, hit your control button or command button, depending upon what computer you're using, and it'll let you uncheck it. I'm going to hit submit. And let's go ahead and name this again, Farmers Market Test. That erased when I added my group. Make sure all this is still acceptable. Hit submit. Okay, now that that's created, I need to go into my inbound settings. This is how when people call inbound to this phone number, what happens? Do I have a specific call flow that I've already created, or do I want to select it? Well, I want to select that, right? So if we're going to come in here, if you have a specific call flow, you can add a next step here. You can come in here and say, hey, I want to forward all of my inbound calls to a specific phone number, right? This might be your cell, it might be your office line, what have you. And how long do you want it to ring for? I want it to ring for 45 seconds. Do you want to have a greeting or things like that set up in here? You can definitely do that. These are all your settings, forwarding inbound call flows, okay? It's your inbound flow. Okay. Now you can have a next step. You can text people when they call in, all that kind of thing. If you don't have a next step, just disregard. This is your IVR menus. These are like your pre-recorded menus. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that, etc. Incoming services, all phone numbers signed in account, the caller group. This is how you create like a dial multiple people situation. Here's your templates and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So that's how this works. Inbound, outbound settings. This is how many dials you're making if you're using our automatic dialer and things like that. You have the ability to run broadcasts to these people in this group. You have the ability to run drips to people in these groups or event reminders. All of your power features that are over here in your tools are all here as well. The biggest feature you have in here that is not included in your drips and tools is the automations. These automations are as follows. You can trigger events or actions to happen when an inbound call comes in. You can trigger things to happen when an inbound text is received, when an email is opened, when there's an email response, rather, when there's a link clicked, when there's an open read email, failed ringless voicemail, all those kinds of things. Change pipelines based upon status, based upon things happening in here. These automations are really, really, really cool and interesting to use. Building out a drip is really straightforward in here. You come into the drips, you pick the group that you're going to add the drip to. In this case, there's only one group. Come over to the action button, and you simply build out the drip vertically here, okay? You hit the plus button. Well, what are we doing? Well, we're sending in a text message. If you have an email connected to the account, email will be an option here. And you simply pick the interval. I want to send this out immediately, day 0. Or you can say, I want to send this out immediately, but I want to wait 5 minutes after they entered. So instead of right when they hit the system, it sends the message, it waits a period of time. The nice way to use this is you can have multiple day zero drips fire off at the same time. So if you have an open home that you're helping a realtor run and you're having drips fire off to the people as they're going through the home, you can have one open immediately when they, fill it out. Thanks for filling out our connection form. Enjoy the open house. You can have another one hit 2 minutes later. It says, hey, did you check out that bathroom, the master bathroom? They completely renovated it. You can have one a few minutes later. It says, hey, did you check out the backyard and the pool? You can schedule these out in intervals like a drip would. So if you had day 0 in here, you had no wait minutes, right? You had none. And you came in here, says, hey, thanks for checking out the open home. Enjoy. We will check in with you shortly, right? Then you hit save and you have your first text message. I know we titled this farmer's market, so it kind of doesn't make sense. Let's go back over here. We could have a realtor open home one. The reason why I'm showing you that realtor open home one is because in here you can really do some cool things with these wait features. So you can say, hey, after they've been in the home for 3 minutes, I want to send this. Did you check out that newly renovated master bath? Right? You can send out these things and schedule them accordingly. Okay, so let's go back to the farmer's market. So somebody's at the farmer's market, they fill out your booth for whatever reason. You're like, hey, thanks for filling out the form. We will keep you in the loop as we pull our winner for the free basket of goodies, right? Let's say you're at the farmer's market and you're giving an update on free bag of goodies or basket of goodies, right? And as they're in here, you can say, hey, we're going to send another message and it's going to be day 0. We're going to wait 30 minutes, etc., to notify them of other things about your email. But as you can see, you can use these automations now and say, hey, I want to have an automation that when somebody responds to an inbound text and it's a passive, a negative, or a positive response, we can do certain things. This automation is pretty cool. You can run them once or multiple times. To get familiar with this, I'll throw a whole bunch of documents in this down below underneath this link to help you guys out. But the settings of this are important. Your reporting's here, your inbound, outbound settings are here and tracked and managed. You can do all of your settings for this over again here. You can edit your settings and your constraints anytime you want. You can do that here, but all of this information is really cool. Here's your more settings. This is how you notify incoming text messages to get those forwarded to your cell phone. So if you're like, hey, if anybody responds to this, I want to get all those forwarded texts to my cell, right? And if an inbound caller, you can add specific groups. If somebody calls, when there's a voicemail, you can notify yourself. You can have the repeat sequence on. If you're repeating this entire step every period of time, you can turn that on. This is your custom response. This is the positive, negative, and passive responses that we just went over. If somebody responds, do you have automations for it? If someone says, great, thanks, yes, whatever it is, you can add more positive responses, more negative responses to control those automations. So a lot of information to unpack here, but in a nutshell, the advanced campaign should only be used for advanced prospecting strategies. You should be using all of your tools and drips for your normal agency contact points. Hope that helps.